Hare Krishna. I'm happy to be with you, especially to share with you the pastime of the Damodara Lila. A few days ago, we had also a home program, and we started reading from the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 9. That's which is the Damodara Lila. And today I will start with verse 7 of that chapter. But before I start, I pray for the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, the previous acharyas. Omahyana Tivanasyan Chinansana Sinakan Sakshan Viditam Vinata Tasmai Sigo Abhinama Chichaitanya Manopistam Staptam Yena Bhutale Shkamupradamyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shio Shiyuda Padakamalam Shiyum Vaishnavam Sa Te Upam Sarjatam Sakanaragnatam Vitam Tam Sativam Satvaitam Sabrutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Tanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakanalita Shivashakam Vitam Sa Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jatpate Kopesha Kopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchna Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamama Haripi Vancha Kautra Visha Kripa Vaivasha Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Nama Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Dada Shri Vasant Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padakista Vastai Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharani Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachani Vasatani. So, on this chapter, our previous acharyas had made extensive comments on every verse. And by their mercy, we can see the pastimes to their eyes, to their comments. And then it becomes alive. When we look at this Damodara pastime, then the question is, what can we learn from it? What can we learn from it? What's the deeper meaning of these pastimes? What are the characteristics of this love for Krishna, which conquers Krishna, which controls Krishna factor? That what makes it so special? So I will read text 7 that I will first recite Sanskrit, then the translation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Uttaya Gopesha Siddham Paya Puna Bhavishya Samvisya Sadatyatmatrakam Bhagnam Vilokya Swasutasya Kamatat Yaha Satam Tapisa Tatrapashyati Translation. Mother Yasoda, after taking down the hot milk from the oven, returned to the churning spot. And when she saw that the container of yogurt was broken and that Krishna was not present, she concluded that the breaking of the pot was the work of Krishna. So what happened before? It was on a special day, the day of Diwali. On the day of Diwali, we celebrate Ram's victory over Ravan and arrival of Ayodhya and all the residents of Vrindavan, or of Ayodhya offering lamps that signify the light conquering the darkness of evil, that Lord Ram appeared 2 million years ago, a long time. But 5,000 years ago, they were also celebrating Diwali. And all the family members of Nanda Maharaj, all the family went to the house of the elder brother Upananda. So they were all going, but Krishna and Mother Yasoda and some servants, they stayed behind. This was Krishna's arrangement because otherwise this pastime could not take place. If Mother Rohini would have been there, she would never allowed Krishna to be bound by ropes. And also Balaram was not there. But on that day, Mother Yasoda started herself churning the yogurt into butter in the early morning. And while she was doing that, she was chanting about Krishna's pastimes, always remembering Krishna's pastimes. She had asked poets to put these pastimes in rhyme form in verses, so that she could easily remember it and chant. So she kept her all the time in Krishna consciousness. An important lesson for us. We should make arrangements. Srila Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita in the purport, we should make arrangements to assure that during 24 hours a day we cannot do anything else than thinking of Krishna. Man mano, Krishna's instruction in Bhagavad Gita. Man mano, think of Krishna, bhava mat bhakto, then you become my devotee. First, you must think of Krishna. To think of Krishna, you must hear about Krishna, speak about Krishna, especially hearing that. So then she was churning the milk, the yogurt, and then Krishna appeared. He got up. He was rubbing his eyes, and he was hungry, and he wanted to be the milk of Mother Yasoda's breast. And very intelligently, he stopped the churning rod with his 2 hands. He put his hand on it. And Mother Yasoda smiled, was thinking this is an intelligent child. And she started to feed him. But although 5,000 years ago, we have here Vrindavan. Vrindavan is identical to Goloka Vrindavan, the spiritual world. It's perfect replica. What is special to the spiritual world? In the spiritual world, everyone remembers Krishna in his different forms, Narayan or Ram in Vaikuntha, that so everyone remembers Krishna in the spiritual world. That and this replica in the Bhumi Vrindavan, there the same consciousness prevails. But in the spiritual world, everything is conscious. That there are no unconscious objects. Everything is conscious, and everyone's consciousness is fixed on Krishna. Especially in Goloka, Vrindavan. 5,000 years ago, Vrindavan was like that. So, Mother Yasoda had put milk on the stove. I must say this milk was meant for Krishna. Because Mother Yasoda, she had a concern. She was thinking, my child is going to others' houses stealing. It must be that he likes more. He doesn't like ordinary butter. Because otherwise, why would he steal? So she was keeping milk from special cows which received very fresh, tasty grass every day. It was fed with that special grass, and the flavor of the milk, this flavor of this fresh green grass was into the milk. And from this special cow, she made yogurt and she was churning butter, but also the milk on the stove was milk, what was meant for Krishna. And then, but then when she was breastfeeding Krishna, the milk started to boil over. And immediately she put down Krishna to save the milk. So one can say, oh, that's the goal is to please Krishna, and Krishna was still hungry. So why did she put him down? Because the milk was also for Krishna's pleasure. It was also milk. But then, when she was taking care of the stove and the milk, and Krishna became angry, like an ordinary child. He was biting his lips, and tears came from his eyes, like a child can cry. And at that moment, he took a stone and broke the pot with angry, the pot of yogurt. And then he went into the house, and in the storehouse where they kept the butter, and he was eating, our Acharya says he was eating the butter that was prepared the previous day and was hanging there. He was eating the butter, and then he was running after that with the butter outside. In the courtyard there was a grinding mortar. But it was a very big one, stone one, a heavy one, and it is said it was used by different families around. It was like a public one. And he was sitting on that, and he was feeding the monkeys with butter. But then when Mother Yasoda found the broken pot, he went into the storehouse, and from the storehouse he could see Krishna sitting on this grinding mortar, feeding the monkeys. And she smiled. It was such a sweet sight. But then she was thinking, I must punish my son because this is not a good behavior. He's very naughty. And in the corner there was like a stick that was used by Nanda Maharaj for herding the cows. But the stick was with nicely decorated with jewels, diamonds. And she took the stick and very gentle, so she moved toward the shining mortar. But then Krishna saw her, and he became very fearful seeing this stick in Mother Yasoda. It's interesting. God becomes fearful that fear personified is fearful from Krishna. That he becomes fearful that so Krishna is under his Lila Shakti. Lila Shakti, it makes arrangements to fulfill Krishna's desire. And we will see here in this pastime, Mother Yasoda starts to run after Krishna. She wants to catch him. And Krishna starts also to run. And it is mentioned here, it was very difficult for her to run because of her heavy breasts, but she made the endeavor, and it's interesting. She tries to catch Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Mother Yasoda is not aware of Krishna's powers. Krishna is all-pervading. He's everywhere. He's the source of everything, but she thinks just it's my son, and his naughty behavior. I have to punish him that he stops stealing. Of course, Krishna is Makanjoya, he steals, but everything belongs to him. So what can you steal then? There's no question of stealing if everything belongs to you. That's interesting. His mother Yasoda is running after him. And our acharyas say, yes, even great yogis, they try to enter the Brahma Jyoti, the body effulgence of Krishna, and they cannot do it. But here, Mother Yasoda is going to chastise Krishna, bring him under control. And that's, but that bringing under control, that is special for this Braja Prema. Braja Prema, Krishna explains in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam. What is so special to this Braja Prema, this love of the Vrajavasis for Krishna? That, and Krishna says, yeah, he explains you can do tapasya, austerities, you can study the Vedas, that you can attain liberation, all these things. But none of these processes will bring me under control. The Braja Prema brings Krishna under control by the love of his devotees. And in the 11th canto, there it's explained that Krishna explains how to develop this Braja Prema. That to develop this Braja Prema, one must associate with my pure devotees. And Krishna gives examples there. It says like Narada Muni in his previous life. Narada Muni, he was the spiritual master of Prahlad. Prahlad associated with Narada Muni in the womb of his mother. He heard the whole Bhagavatam from Narada Muni. That Bali Maharaj associated with Prahlad Maharaj. He became also a pure devotee. That we have in the Ram Lila, Vibhishan, he associated with Hanuman. That so we see that Braja Prema is the most intense love, because Braja Prema has a relation. All the Vrajavas have a relation in higher rasas. They become Krishna's friends, Sakyara. Or they feel parental love for Krishna, more intense love. Or Madhurya Ras, the gopis, more intense love. But that love brings Krishna under control. But that love is so overwhelming that they see Krishna in their relationship and they forget that he's God. Mother Yasoda has no clue whether Krishna is God or not, and she's not interested. Krishna is my son, and her love is so deep that so Krishna, he wants to reciprocate with Mother Yasoda, and therefore this Lila Shakti knows this and makes arrangements that and to control Krishna, it cannot be done by karma or by jnana. It's not by study of the Vedas that one develops this. That it is not by doing one's duties in this world that one is going to develop this love. No. One has to learn it from a pure devotee of Krishna who has developed this love. And Krishna is going to agree to be bound by this law. That he's going to agree only by the intense prema of the residents, the intense love, and by his mercy. There are two elements. Therefore, when Mother Yasodhi was running after Krishna, then he agreed to be bound by Mother Yasoda. And he made arrangements that she could catch him. But then when she catched him, Krishna became very afraid. He said that I'm afraid of this stick, throw this stick. Mother Yasoda was thinking that so much fear for a child is not good. Maybe he's going to run away from the house, and then it's more trouble. So she threw away the stick, and then Krishna, he was going to bind Krishna. And she took a rope to bind him, but when she tried to bind him, it was 2 fingers too short. 2 fingers. So it was a very soft rope. They used, a very soft rope. But he took a second rope and tried to prolong it, and she tried again and again, 2 fingers short. So this is Krishna's Lila Shakti. So Krishna was thinking that if she's going to bind me, then how can I do my duty of stealing butter in others' houses if I'm bound here? Because Krishna was fond of doing that, because all the other gopis, they were thinking, yes, Krishna is a naughty boy. When they spoke about him, he's a naughty boy, he's stealing butter. But in their heart, they were thinking, when is Krishna going to come to my house to steal butter? So that he was. So at first it didn't agree to be bound. And this Lila Shakti made arrangements that this, somewhere or another, this rope was prolonged, but mystically always 2 fingers too short. And all the other gopis who were there, they were bringing ropes, and she was binding them and trying to bind them, and every time 2 fingers short. And all the gopis, they start to smile and laugh. What is this? Mother Yasoda said, how is this possible? How is this possible? Of course, Krishna is not bound by anything in this world. It's not bound by the world, by the laws of this material world. We are bound. But for Krishna, he is not under these laws. He can do whatever he wants. And because he desired us, this Lila Shakti made this arrangement. But finally, Krishna decided that because of Mother Yasoda's love and her endeavor, he decided to be merciful to her, and he allowed to be bound by the ropes. And then when he was at the motor, bound at the motor, then Mother Yasoda went in the house doing some household chores. And then there were young friends, also toddlers of Krishna, who came, and they felt compassion with Krishna. They were thinking, yes, he's bound to this grinding motor. He didn't eat yet. And they went to their houses to get some sweets, and they came to Krishna, and they were feeding him sweets. That's interesting. But then, yes, then Krishna saw two twin Arjuna trees. And he remembered the words of Narada Muni. Narada Muni, who had cursed Manigriva and Nala Kubera and when they were sporting with girls naked in the lakes of the gardens of Kailash, the abode of Lord Shiva, and abode also Kubera is there, where the sons of Kubera were very rich. But if you are rich and you can buy everything, you don't care for anything. And that is what happened with them. When Narada Muni came, they were so intoxicated that they were not covering their nakedness. And Narada Muni cursed them to become trees. He said, yes, you want to be naked, you will be naked for a long time. But Narada Muni said, but you will be saved after 100 years by Krishna himself, who will stand in his on the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. So a curse of a saintly person is practically good. It's a blessing, a curse of a sage. But then they were standing for a long time there, and the Vrajavasis, the servants of Kubera, they knew that they had become trees, and the servants of Kubera, they came every day to Vrindavan to speak to the trees, and the trees would give them information, tell them everything what happened in Vrindavan. And if the residents of Vrindavan would need something, then the trees would tell it to the servants of Kubera, and then it wonderfully would appear somewhere. So they fulfilled the desire of the Vrajavasis. But they were standing there for a long time. And of course, they could observe Krishna and his pastimes, and hear everything of the Vrajavasis who came there. So they became very Krishna conscious. These trees, they became purified. That, but Narada Muni had made that vow. Yes, the Krishna will come, and Krishna will liberate you. So then Krishna was thinking, I must fulfill the desire of Narada Muni. I must make his words make true, because he's a pure devotee. That so Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, is also pure devotee. And interesting is in the 60s that Allen Ginsberg came to see Prabhupada. And Allen Ginsberg, Srila Prabhupada had just described the characteristics of the people in Kali Yuga of this age. And it describes what will happen at the end of this age. And it's horrible. That I'm not going to tell you these details. It's in the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam. But then Allen Ginsberg asked Prabhupada, but what with your disciples? Will they still be here? And Prabhupada said, no, they will go back to Godhead in this life. That's what he said. Very interesting. So we have hope that Krishna will fulfill the desire of Prabhupada. In New Mayapur, 1977, he gave a lecture. And he said during that lecture that I promise you, if you chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna mantra, and you follow the four regulated principles, you will go back to Godhead. So that's Prabhupada's promise. So we have hope that Prabhupada will fulfill that promise. But then Krishna was bound at this grinding mortar. And he was seeing these two Arjuna trees. So he was thinking this, and all these toddler friends were there around him. So the first arrangement he made that his toddler friend would be paralyzed. They could not move. And because he desired to move towards these Arjuna trees, and he started to push, and he was connected with this grinding mortar, with these ropes, but these ropes started to help to fulfill Krishna's desire, and they became elastic. So Krishna moved, and the mortar came. Krishna moved, and then the mortar followed. And so he was going to these trees, and then we know this grinding mortar got stuck to these trees, and then these trees were uprooted just by him, by pushing this mortar to these trees, and they fell down. These trees were more than 30 meters high. High trees, these Arjuna trees. And with great storm, they fell down. And then at that moment, two celestial forms came out of it. Hayagriva, Malagriva, and alle couverts. And they started to offer prayers to Krishna. Beautiful prayers. You can read them at the end of this chapter. Beautiful prayers. Bhagavatam is full of prayers. Prayers of Queen Kunti, prayers of Akrura, so many prayers. And we can learn how to pray to Krishna. Beautiful prayers. And from these prayers of Manigriva and Hayagriva, Manigriva and Nandakubera, you can learn how they realized Krishna's position. That's important. If we want to become devotees of Krishna, we must understand who Krishna is. And how to understand who Krishna is, Bhakti-amama vijanti yavyasasmi tatvata, can only be done by love. Ananya bhakti, Krishna says. Only by pure devotional service can you know Krishna. So that requires first purification of the heart. And then we become attached to Krishna. With them, Krishna starts to reveal himself to the heart. Desham satayuktam vachnam pritabhavakam dadami buddhiyogam yenam apayantite. You serve Krishna with a little love, and Krishna gives you realization from within the heart. Buddhi yoga, self-realization. And that is understanding first who Krishna is. If we understand who Krishna is, then we understand our position. We are a servant of Krishna. And then we engage in the activity of bhakti, devotional service, our relationship with Krishna. So these are three aspects of Sambandha Jnana, establishing our relationship with Krishna. Who is Krishna? Then only when we know who is Krishna, we can understand who we are, his servant. And then we engage in the activity of our relationship, which is devotional service of bhakti. And they explain it very beautifully. And then they ask Krishna permission, please let us go back to the heavenly planets. And they circumambulate him 3 times, and in the air they are gone. And all these toddlers, his Krishna's friends, saw this. But then everyone came back from Upananda, Diwali. But when they came back, then when they came close to their homes, they saw these big Arjuna trees falling. And then they came there and they saw Krishna between these trees. And Nanda Maharaj immediately went to his son, and his son was still bound to this mortar. And Nanda Maharaj said to Krishna, who has done this evil to you? Who is that evil person who did that? And Krishna said, oh, it's Mata. And then the strollers, they could move again, and they went to Nanda Maharaj and all the Vrajavasis and said, and Krishna has done this. He got stuck between these 2 trees, and boom, it fell down. And then these two persons appeared in the sky, and they spoke to Krishna, and they circumambulated in, and they went into the sky. But all these words, this older coward man, they said, yeah, this is child talk. Don't take that serious. So this is this pastimes of love. Krishna's loving relationship with Krishna, and how he reciprocates so beautifully. And Damodara is very merciful. Very merciful. If we worship him every day during Kartik, just offering with love, lamp, we will benefit a lot. It will purify our heart. and set us on the path of developing this pure love. Because Damodara means that two fingers too short, one finger is. We have to make our endeavor to serve Krishna nicely. Chant Hare Krishna, hear about him, follow the principles of bhakti, that and then Krishna, if we endeavor, Krishna will reciprocate with us. That we must make our endeavor. And that's the most important lesson to learn from this pastime. Krishna reciprocates with the love of his devotees and is most merciful. And he accepted the name of Damodara. Damodara means the one who was bound with ropes because he did naughty things. So Krishna, if someone calls him Damodara, that he doesn't like that, because he thinks, when he hears Damodara, he thinks, I've done something wrong. And he feels bad. Sometimes Rohini came to call Krishna for lunch, and he said to Krishna, Damodara, you must come. But he would not come. But then Mother Yasoda would come and just calling Krishna, Krishna, please come. And he would come. But of course, the name Damodar for devotees, that signifies Krishna's love for his devotees. Krishna loves us so much. If we would realize how much Krishna loves us, then we are not in this material world anymore. Thank you very much. Lila Prabhupada ki.